suited to.
How does one know that a business would be suited to them? Because if you gauged on the people that come up to me in the street, or the taxi drivers I speak to, or my friends, or the DMs that I get, everyone's got an idea. Nobody seems to be short of ideas, but so many people seem to be stuck at that moment of making a decision to pursue a particular idea that they almost get like paralysis, like sofapreneurs. All of their ideas stay on the sofa that they were conceived on, but they never seem to get out of the sofa because of like that paralysis. I don't know if this is the one. I get that all the time. Is this the idea?
The thing is, we need to sharpen our ideas in the market, not in our minds. So what we have to do is go make contact with other people and see what they say and see what they think. So we have to conduct tests where we fail fast and fail cheap if we fail at all. So here's an example of what I like to do when someone has an idea. I say, set up a very simple waiting list landing page and essentially let people know I'm thinking of starting something in this particular space, or we're launching something in this space later in the year. If you're interested, join the waiting list. Now, that waiting list concept, essentially, if people will join the waiting list, and if you get hundreds of people joining a waiting list, it's a pretty good indication that it is a good idea. If you launch a waiting list and you message 3,000 people and say, I'm launching this thing, do you want to join the waiting list? And no one joins, then it's a good indication that's not the idea, right? Because we have to have a good marriage between what we're passionate about, what we want to do, and what the market wants. There's 6 million businesses in the UK, 30 million businesses in the USA, and that basically means that there's a lot of businesses doing a lot of things that already exist. So the market might not have an unmet need. The market might say, hey, I already have a great cupcake supplier. There's already someone who makes great coffee in my neighborhood. We don't need another one. Okay, fair enough. Let's have another idea, right? You can always have plenty more ideas. So you've got to test. The faster you can get on with conducting a fast and cheap test, the better you're going to, go with your entrepreneurial idea.
Because that's one of the big sort of mental barriers that people have, is they see that committing to any of these ideas is going to cost them 3 years, their reputation, and potentially hundreds of thousands of their money or an investor's money. So that, again, creates paralysis, because the discomfort associated with being wrong when you think there's so much on the line will hold you in place. But your idea there of just throwing up a landing page immediately kills the paralysis.
And also just a landing page of a waiting list. So you're not even saying that this thing's a dead certain. You're just saying we're going to be launching something if we get enough interest. And here's the waiting list. And by the way, this is what really smart entrepreneurs do. Like Elon Musk launched a waiting list for the Model 3. He launched a waiting list for the Cybertruck. I think he launched a waiting list for a flamethrower.
Yeah, I joined all waiting lists.
Yeah. And he's essentially, what he's doing is a very smart process of validating the idea. One of the best mindsets that we have as an early stage entrepreneur is the mindset of a scientist conducting a little experiment. And what we're trying to do is not be emotionally attached to what happens one way or another. What we want to do is we want to say, you know what, if people don't like this, okay, I'll have another idea. If people do like this, I'll go to the next step. So a scientist is just kind of like conducting an experiment. And the best experiments are cheap and fast. A waiting list is probably the most powerful early stage experiment you could go with. Elon Musk, when he launched the waiting list for Cybertruck, I don't think there would have been an investment bank on the planet that would have backed a factory for something that looked like Cybertruck. But when he walked in and said, I've got 1 million people who have put down a $100 deposit, if only 5% of them go ahead, they can crunch the numbers on that and say, yeah, okay, we'll fund that. Fair enough, let's build it. So it's very powerful. I did this recently. I had my team come up to me and say, hey, we could do a startup around an AI that helps people write a book. And I said, well, I'm not sure if anyone would like that, but let's launch a waiting list. So I launched a waiting list, put one post on LinkedIn, 750 people joined the waiting list. I was expecting 150. And in the waiting list, we actually asked questions like, how much would you pay for it per month? And how many months do you think it would take you? And what would success look like? And what would failure look like? And what else would you try instead of this? If this didn't exist, what would you use? So we asked all these questions. We collected a ton of data. And then off the back of that, we spec'd out the product. I also went to angel investors and said, do you guys want to co-invest in this one? We raised £300,000 on the SEIS scheme at a £3 million valuation for an idea, no lines of code, nothing built, nothing designed. And essentially, we got ourselves ready to launch in a couple of months, just simply off the back of that waiting list and all the data that we collected.